Welcome to another Walter football video. I'm Charlie Campbell, senior draft analyst. Before we get rolling here, I suggest you speed it up to 1.25 or 1.5. All right, let's get into a few topics. Georgia defensive line. This is crazy. I mean, the amount of NFL talent in the Georgia front seven right now is just ridiculous. So a few years ago, if you remember, they had an offensive line that was just loaded with future NFL players. They had Andrew Thomas, who goes fourth overall to the Giants. At left tackle, Isaiah Wilson, the right tackle, was a late first-round pick to the Titans, ended up being a bust for them. Solomon Kinley at guard was a mid-round pick to Miami, but he started as a rookie, which is really impressive for a mid-rounder. He only slid because he had weight issues his final season, but prior to that, the year before, actually, he was one of the best guards in the nation and looked at as a potential top early round guard prospect. And then their center, Trey Hill, his career kind of followed a similar track as Kinley with the weight issues and the declining play in his final season because of it. He ended up being a mid-round pick last April. And then Cade Mays, who had transferred to Tennessee, he'll probably get drafted mid to late rounds in his draft class. So anyways, we had that loaded Georgia offensive line from a few years ago. Now Jimbo Fisher is back with a loaded defensive front seven. So if you guys want to check out the hot presses, I have two recently on two potential first rounders there. First of all, you have Jordan Davis, the nose tackle. He's a Dexter Lawrence type, big, fast, athletic for a massive interior defensive lineman. He's the kind of guy that's going to stuff rushing lanes, help collapse the pocket and pass rush. Not going to produce a huge sack total, but a guy that's going to contribute to the rush by taking away the ability for quarterbacks to step up. So he's the consensus top interior defensive lineman for this draft class, probably a top 20 pick. I wouldn't be surprised if he's going in the teens, a la Daron Payne or Dexter Lawrence. But definitely, he looks like a definite first rounder. I think Adam Anderson is a definite first rounder. If you want to check out the hot press we had go up on him, so as I told you guys in the summer, some of the advanced scouts gave him a high preseason grade. Others weren't as high on him because of him being a situational player. Georgia rotated him out and rundowns behind Azeez Ojulari and others, but he was a dynamite pass rusher and pass rushing situations. He had like 6.5, 7 sacks last year, despite very limited playing time. So when he did get on the field, he was making big plays and showing a ton of potential, just super fast off the ball. Just the get off with him is crazy. I've had multiple NFL scouts say that his get off is similar to Von Miller and coming out of Texas A&M, and that's kind of like the gold standard in terms of just speed off the ball. So he's crazy fast. He's a freak. Supposedly in August he ran the 40 in the 4.4s. And this year, the role surprisingly hasn't expanded that much, even though Ojulari's in the NFL and Jermaine Johnson transferred to Florida State. They're still kind of using Anderson in the situational, rotational role, but he's playing phenomenal football. And through the first 3 games, he had 3 sacks. He has 6 sacks in his last 6 games of college football, which for a guy that's a borderline backup and rotational player, that's just phenomenal production. I mean, that's good production for an every down starter, much less a guy who doesn't get as many opportunities to rush the passer as an every down starter. So at any rate, that causes some divide because some scouts aren't going to like that he's not an every down player. Others, it won't bother them. So I spoke with a director of college scouting from one of the best drafting teams in the NFL, and he said that Anderson is a top 10 or top 15 pick next April if he keeps playing like he did against Clemson in the season opener. and he has in the weeks following against South Carolina and some other cupcake team I can't remember that Georgia just annihilated. But if he continues to play an SEC play the way he played against Clemson and South Carolina, I definitely agree with this college director that he goes high. He's a freak athletically. And so then I asked another director of player personnel at a team, and he said he thinks Anderson's a first rounder. Not sure how high yet. He needs to watch him more, see how the season unfolds. And I spoke to an area scout, really good area scout, has been on the money on a lot of players, and he said he had Anderson. He thinks he'll go in the first round. He thinks he's probably going to go high because he is such a dynamic and dynamite pass rusher. But this area scout was in more of the skeptic territory where he wouldn't necessarily take him high because he would prefer a guy that's 3-down player and has the ability to really defend the run. So, one of the director who said he'd go top 10, top 15, said that Anderson has a high metabolism, so that's hurt him in terms of gaining weight because he's about 6'4", 6'5", weighs like 225. His goal is to get up to 250, but he's had a hard time gaining weight, and that's why Georgia says they don't play him every down, according to that director. That's what the feedback that he got from Georgia there. So really interesting player. To me, it's just kind of fascinating to see the difference on a guy that's clearly an athletic freak and just a dynamite pass rusher. But to me, the NFL's a passing-driven league. You're in sub-package the majority of time. Some teams, I had a scout tell me this summer that they had games last year where the entire game they played the sub-package. So that means your sub package is really your starting package. So your designated pass rusher is a starter. You're not playing 3 linebackers. You're playing 2 linebackers and a nickel corner. So that nickel corner is a starter. He's more important than the third linebacker that would be on the field in, say, base defense. And we've seen that in the draft. Teams prioritize the cornerback position way more than the linebacker position. And, for example, look at Miami. They have Xavier Howard. They give big money to Byron Jones. Then they use a first-round pick on the Auburn kid, and they have. And so, after having that commitment with Jones and having a really good corner in Howard, they still used a first-round pick on corners. So you have to have 3 good corners. Really, you want a solid 4 because that 4th guy, it could easily become a starter for certain games depending on an injury or even a season-long injury. So teams really need 3 good corners and a solid 4th to help get through the season. So obviously the sub package is critical. Pardon that aside there, but it's same thing with designated pass rushers. Those guys are more important than, say, the heavy nose tackle that's the run stuffer, unless you get a rare guy like a Jordan Davis or a Deron Payne or Dexter Lawrence. Vita Vea with the Bucs is a phenomenal football player. He does more in the pass rush than some of those other guys. But unless it's a rare guy like that, a lot of the big heavy nose tackles are getting pulled, in the sub and not playing a lot of snaps, just sparingly through the game. The designated pass rushers playing more. So, and with that in mind, I think Anderson's definitely worth a top 20 pick. He is just a dynamite pass rusher, and I could definitely see him putting up double-digit sack totals on an annual basis, and a guy that's really one of the most consistent and dynamic pass rushers in the league. So you got him, you got the nose tackle first rounders, but the linebackers, Quay Walker, Nakobe Dean, they could be mid-rounders. Wyatt, he's the 3 technique rusher at Georgia, interior rusher. He's probably a mid-round pick as well. Tyndall, linebacker, could be a late-round pick. And then Another first rounder. It's crazy. Travon Walker, potential first rounder. I've in talking with these people, with these scouts at teams, they think Walker could end up rising into being a first rounder. Number 44. He's fast off the ball. He's big. He's athletic. Really has an excellent skill set. Similar to Anderson, was kind of stuck in the rotation in past years. This year, he's getting more of an opportunity, but he's 6'5", 275. Scouts say he's can run. Athletic guy, really played well against Clemson in the season opener, has been solid since then, and with that size and skill set, you can easily see this guy as a future starter and 3-down contributor. So scouts have said with him he's at least a day 2 pick, and depending on how the season goes, they wouldn't be surprised if he rises into the first round. So check out those blogs. They're in the link below. Also, I want to thank Brad Ward with his podcast, All Eyes on Cleveland. They had me on their show before the draft, and he sent me this sweet t-shirt that's turned into a lucky t-shirt for me, so thank you, Brad. Appreciate you. Check out his podcast. He's awesome on all things Browns. Very smart guy. Really does his homework, so if you're a Browns fan, you gotta listen to him. And anyways, aside from that, guys, I got the mocks being my Walt's mock getting updated every week here. Walt's goes up on Wednesday, mine goes up on Friday. Walt's picks go up on Tuesday. Position rankings get updated. Quarterbacks every week, doing other positions going up every Saturday. And of course, I'm breaking down college games, focusing on just how the draft prospects are playing. Doesn't matter the score or how I'm not recapping the game, just purely looking at how the draft players play. So check out those recaps going up every weekend, of course. And so, of course, big boards updated, stock report, all that stuff going up constantly on the site. But thank you guys so much for watching. I'll be back with you soon. You guys take care and be safe. I love you. I appreciate you. I'll be back with you. See you soon.